Well, I have double audio happening in my headphones right now, which means it's time for the Alter Live Show. Actually, that just means that I forgot to hit mute on one of my screens. Welcome to the Alter Live Show. It's a Thursday. We are so stoked you're here. I am Andy. Happy Thursday, Maeve.
Happy Thursday. I'm like still dancing to the music a little bit.
Feels good, right? I mean, it feels good.
It's good.
It's the problem with this song after, we're on episode 31, by the way. So we've done this over half a year. Happy birthday.
Nice.
Yeah, happy half birthday. The problem with this song is that it's so awesome. And anytime I'm trying to edit any one of these shows down and I hear it, I get two things in my heart. Number one, I get real joy. But number two, I also get a little bit of like, oh no, are we going live? It's like it's the naked in school thing where it's
or like the Pavlovian
exactly.
effect or something. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's me. Hey, if you are live with us on YouTube or Facebook, make sure to hit the old like button, hit the subscribe button. If you are on Alter Live, our subscribers have been going up. So we thank you all for being part of the Alter Live fam. And make sure to share this on your Facebook timelines or your Instagram Reels. Whatever you can do. Maeve, it is your turn for a recommendation. Do you have one? Last week I brought you the Kobo, what was it? Kobo Libra 2, which is the competitor to the Kindle, and I'm still super in love with that thing. I've been reading like the old nerdy self I am. What about your recommendation for this week?
I don't know how to top yours. I'm really hoping this thing that I'm going to present you've never heard before, but you probably have because I feel like you're always up to date on all the cool things.
Shots fired.
I love to categorize things. I love to have my lists. I love to be organized. That's what I'm always striving to be. So I really love, Spotify and Goodreads because I can compile, keep track of, what I'm listening to, what I'm reading. Like I love the, the yearly book challenge. And so recently, I think it's been out for a while because I know like a lot of my friends had it, but I just like never got around to it. But there's new to me, it's an app called Letterboxd. Do you know this?
What is it called? Letterbox?
Letterboxd. Okay, you haven't heard of it. Okay,
no,
that makes me excited.
Inform me while I go to Google and type this into the internet to see what it is.
So it's not ED, it's just Letterboxd.
Oh, it's one of those.
And so it's basically Goodreads for movies.
Oh.
And I love it because I know you have IMDb, which I love also. Like anytime I'm watching a movie, I'm on IMDb finding out everything I know, like can learn about this movie. But that's more of, I feel like it's more of a, I don't know, it's not like new, fun, and cool. Letterboxd has a new like fun, cool vibes to it because one, you can have a free account, and I'm always about the free account. And you can basically make lists of like movies that you've seen, and then you can look at reviews, and so you can keep track of what you've watched and rate things. And then you have the people who are like really, really, like into film and will give you the really, really long reviews. But then you'll have like me and my sister who will just be like, I didn't like this movie, 1 star, or Ryan Reynolds had a nice jacket in this, 2 stars. Like you can have really a lot of fun with it.
Of course you went Ryan Reynolds.
It's really fun. What?
Of course you went Ryan Reynolds. I can't get rid of him.
I watched that movie, The Adam Project.
Dude, that movie's not bad.
It's fine. I gave it 3 stars on Letterboxd.
Oh, you did right. Okay, I see where this is headed.
and he did have a cool jacket in that. So,
he did?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really show you this. I mean, it's not really going to show, but
it's fine. I can probably like search it.
It basically Goodreads for movies, and so I was gonna do like a package deal, Goodreads and Letterboxd, but I know we've talked about Goodreads before, so I just went straight for the Letterboxd. But I love it because you can look at all these reviews, and some of them are hilarious. Like I think the best review I ever saw was for that Don't Look Up movie, and it was like this girl who said an Oscar award winning performance of Leo pretending he likes girls his own age. And I was like, all right, I'm sold.
It's good.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this app.
I'm reading the Adam Project review right now. And the popular reviews, the number one says, this is the 7th Ryan Reynolds film in a row where he just plays Deadpool in a new situation. The second review is Sean Levy really must have called this 30 going on 13 instead. And the third one was, man, if I was 10, I would love this movie.
See, like this is the kind of stuff you'll get on Letterbox.
All right,
And then
I'm
you'll
in.
also have the film buffs who are like, this,
It challenged my heart.
the hubris of this character. Like I'm just like, oh, I just need the fun. I need the fun stuff.
All right. Well, Maeve, I and the rest of the Ultra Live fam appreciate this recommendation. I'm gonna bookmark this in my Firefox thing right now so that I can come back to it.
Perfect.
Speaking of hubris, I don't know how to transition out of that, so we're just gonna move right along. The Ultra Live show, typically what we do is we bring you tips and tricks to using Ultra Live and also witty pop culture references like what we just talked about with the Adam Project. But occasionally and more lately, we try to bring you real stories from real people that are using Ultra Live and using it not only just surviving, but thriving and succeeding in what they're doing. And Shepherd Church of the Nazarene is a church that came into Ultra Live a couple months ago. We're going to get into it with Jason and Joe. The kind of genesis of where all this happened was a really super amazing promo film that they made to kind of get their congregation on board with Ultra Live, and we're going to ask them about that. But more than that, we just want to hear a little bit about their experiences with digital ministry and really with Ultra Live. So without further ado, Maeve, let me introduce you and the rest of the world to Jason and Joe from Shepherd Church of the Nazarene. Boys, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thanks for having us.
And they have a fancy control room, and it puts our backgrounds to shame. So first off, tell us really where you are in the church right now.
So we're in our production room, our production control room, which is physically just off of our sanctuary, but all of our network and video systems come into this room and then spread out across campus.
Fantastic.
Don't feel too bad. Like 9-10 years ago, it used to be a really big closet.
Yeah.
So
the acoustics in there.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. That's how they all start. Every tech closet in a church kind of has the same feeling. It feels like sadness and fear and a lot of like Monster Energy drinks. So I don't know if your guys feels like that, but that's what ours feels like. So first off, let's introduce you. So Jason and Joe from Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, do us a favor, do a little round table. Tell us who you are, how you got to the church, and how long you've been with the church.
Sure. Joe, well, you go ahead.
Sure. I'm Joe Ailshire, and I've been at Shepherd since around 2013. And at that point, we weren't doing any live streaming or anything. We'll get into that whenever you want to. But come from a church background. I mean, my dad was a pastor, so I kind of grew up in church all the time. But while I've been at Shepherd, been serving on the tech team, which started out as like, sound and light kind of traditional setup, and it has gradually progressed. I do have background in a lot of different things, but the pertinent ones would be graphics and video.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yep. My name is Jason Gleam. I'm the Director of Technology here at Shepherd. I started attending here with my wife about the same time as Joe. And within about the first year, I took over the director role. And in that role, I oversee basically if it plugs in on campus, it falls under my oversight. So all the network systems and all the video and live event and stuff like that. And so Joe serves as my manager of video production. So he oversees the video production teams. Mm-hmm. And then I have another guy, Josh, who's not joining us today. He oversees all of our live event production. So sound in the sanctuary and throughout campus and lighting and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of how we're organized around here. And then we have a large team of volunteers, around 30 or so, that help us make things happen on a week-to-week basis.
How many people are on staff and how many people are you guys supporting right now?
We have, so on core church staff, about 8 or 10, somewhere in that neighborhood. But we also have a K through 5, or is it K through 7 now? Yeah, we have a K through something school and then we also have a preschool.
Okay.
Total staff wise, I think last time I checked, we're somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 or 70 across all of those people across campus, and that's what we support with technology. In terms of like video and worship and things like that, our congregation averages around 600 or so.
And is that in person? Is that digital? Is that hybrid? How is that counted for you guys?
That's our total count across in person and online. In our last audit of that, we're seeing really just in the last 2 months we checked it, and it's about a 60-40 split between in person and online. So that was one of our surprises coming out of the pandemic, was that our online viewership stayed at such a high percentage of the congregation.
Well, and I think the next topic we're going to talk about, kind of how you guys, your journey into online ministry. I think some of the things that you've done behind the scenes have kept that at such a high number in a good way. I know a lot of pastors, a lot of leaders would turn their nose up at that, but I think you guys are leaning into that. So I guess walk us through your journey into, as a church, streaming online ministry, and then, pre-pandemic, mid-pandemic, post-pandemic kind of metrics for success in all of that.
We've been very blessed at Shepherd in that we've had leadership here for the last decade that's really been very forward thinking in terms of technology and its impact on ministry. And so we actually started our live stream coming up on 8 years ago. And initially, it's kind of funny. Initially, we were going to start with one camera and an encoder, and that was going to be it. And now I came into it with a background in TV production anyways. So we had a leg up in that I kind of knew what I was doing, at least halfway. And so even before that first Sunday, we had already bought 2 more cameras and a Blackmagic A10 switcher. Nice. And, we were starting to build this room and everything, even before that very first broadcast. So nice. We kind of jumped in into the deep end of the pool to start with. And so when the pandemic hit, for us, it was a relatively, probably as smooth of a transition as you could possibly have. We'd already been doing it for 5 years by that point. Our congregation was already familiar with our online. We already had an established presence at our live page. And so really we just replicated what we were doing, but without people in the sanctuary. And we got victimized by the bandwidth crunch those first couple of Sundays. And so we ended up shifting gears a little bit. We went to a pre-produced service and then just simulated the live stream with pastors on the chat on Sunday mornings. And we did that until we could start coming back to go hybrid. And then really and I'll just anticipate your next question and walk into where we landed with Ultra Live. A year back into hybrid, we were sitting here looking at the numbers and seeing that, half of our congregation was still viewing the services and participating online. And the system that we were using would allow for chats and allow for somebody to request prayer and do a one-on-one with a pastor, but that was pretty much the limit of the engagement. And so we sat down as a staff and had a big meeting and just talked about what is sort of Shepherd 2.0 going to look like, and how can we make our online experience equivalent to our in-person experience and really build that community around what's going on online. And some of the stuff that Ultra Live does, especially like the rows and stuff like that, were really, really attractive to us as a means to help build that community. And we already had small groups that had been meeting virtually using other tools like Zoom and Teams. So kind of that interpersonal 4-up view that you get with the row in Altar Live was something that a lot of our congregation was already familiar with. So we felt that the transition would be pretty smooth for everybody. And we've been very happily surprised, I think, that it has gone relatively trouble-free.
And that seems to be due, and Maeve, I guess you can get into this, but before we get into, or before we kind of transition to the next little area, what were you using prior? You kind of referenced it a little bit. Were you guys on Chop? Were you just doing like a hybrid, some sort of something? What did it look like, the landscape for you?
We were using, so when we first started out, we were using Church Streaming as our streaming platform, and we were using Church Online as the front end.
Okay.
And then we branched out. We were doing simultaneous streaming to YouTube and Facebook for a while there. But analytics got to be a real problem with all of that. And so eventually what we ended up doing is settling on Vimeo as our back-end streaming platform, which works great because they also host all of the archived content. And then, of course, the recent switch to Altar Live. Probably the most challenging thing for us was scheduling that switchover with everybody, and then we had to do some network magic on the back end to be able to keep our live.shepnaz.tv URL, because we already had a lot of good search karma built up on that page, and we didn't want to lose that by changing URLs. So that was probably our biggest technical challenge in the switch.
So how did you find Altar Live?
Well, I will give credit to that to my oldest son, who is Josh, the live service coordinator. He is a member of a number of Facebook groups for church production. And I believe it was somewhere through maybe one of those that he saw some mention of it, and then we started looking into it. And you know, we wanted to take a look to see if this was something that would really work for us. And the engagement is what we were really looking for. And it's an incremental process. You know, when you're bringing over people that are used to watching online for a while, and they've been watching it like it's Netflix church, it's kind of difficult to get them all of a sudden to start to engage. Now, we switched over at the time that we did because we had a prayer summit coming up, and we wanted to live stream the prayer summit, but we felt like just the very nature of the prayer summit was not indicative of having a one-way live stream. That if people are going to be watching online, we wanted them to be able to participate as part of the service in the prayer summit. So that was kind of the impetus for the time when we switched over to Altar Live, because we wanted to make sure we had the church fully moved over for that event. And just a side story for that, I knew we were headed in the right direction because it was in the middle of a Saturday afternoon that we're having a prayer summit. We're live streaming from the church using Altar Live. And from the platform, one of the pastors that was leading was just asking, you know, if you feel like you've received something from God, if you feel like you've had a healing, if you feel like you've had an answer to prayer, raise your hand. And of course, we're seeing on the live stream, we're seeing people on camera in the sanctuary that were raising their hand.
Cool.
And I've got I was directing from the switcher at that point, and I had a computer a couple feet away from me that had Altar Live open, and I was watching the chat, and I saw a couple emoticons going up with the hand raised.
That's
and
amazing.
I was like, we're on to something
Yeah.
now. And it really did take me by surprise when that happened, but it was in a good way.
That's a goosebump moment. So through that, how did you introduce Altar Live to your team, the congregation, and all that? Was it a fight, or did you use the prayer? I'm going to call it a conference, but did you use the gigantic prayer event as almost a soft roll into, hey, this is what this could be. Oh, by the way, every Sunday we could use this now. I saw Jason there smiling. Did I hit on something there?
We very militantly forced it to happen. Well, no, I think that's a credit to the church leadership. I think that the tech team leaders met with the pastoral leadership. We were trying to figure out ways, coming to a reality that I think for a while people believe that when the pandemic was over, church would go back to normal. And I think we've been grappling with the reality that no, that's there is going to be a new way we move forward. And so really the leadership of the church wanted to know what's the best way we can move forward. And so we had already had some discussions about Altar Live being the direction that we felt was one of the steps that we needed to take. And then it was just a matter of that event was going to showcase some of the reasons why we needed to switch over. So then we just kind of rode back from there and figured out, okay, if we want to do it by then, we want to have like a 3-week lead up where we're telling people about it. We're sending out emails. We're sending out social media. We're doing all kinds of goofy things to try to get people excited and hyped up about it.
So speaking of goofy things, before anything else happens, we stumbled upon this. Actually, somebody sent this in to us, and this is how we knew that you all were fired up about Altar Live. You guys produced what I would call a modern masterpiece of church production.
So would I.
Yes.
I want to roll for everyone out there right now that's watching live or on demand. You'll be able to find the link to this hopefully below. Excuse me. But if not, let's just roll a couple snippets of Shepherd's kind of rollout pitch video for Altar Live. Here we go.
Welcome to Live ST, where we give you a sneak preview of what goes on behind the scenes here at Shepherd Tech First Responders. Let's take a look at a call that came into the Fenster House.
Hello? Okay, stay calm. We'll get you taken care of. There's still time. Tim, activate the team.
I'm on, boss.
Shepherd Tech, what's your emergency?
I don't know how it happened.
Sir, please remain calm. Tell me what happened.
This nice lady was trying to log on to our live stream, and she's having trouble creating an Altar Live account.
Okay, we can help. What is your name?
Pastor Tim.
Hi, Pastor Tim, and tell me the address.
1063 Kelly Drive.
All right, we are sending someone now.
Thank you so much.
We just got a call of an ID 10T at 1063 Kelly Drive. We're going there to find out right now why this person can't log on to Altar Live. Coming up on it here. There it is. All right, listen, I'm going to go around the front here and take a look. I need to double check their internet connection before I go in. Cats. Shepherd Tech. Good evening, man. From Shepherd Tech. May I come in? I heard you had called in You were not able to get onto the church live stream?
Right.
I need to walk you through that, all right?
Yeah, you do, because I don't know.
So I see you've got your browser up here. And all we need to do is go to shepnaz.ultralive.com. Click Watch Now. Now click Log In. And continue with Facebook. That's all there is to it. Now you can watch, you can pick a seat and sit with others and talk with them and enjoy the service together online. So that call went the way we hoped it would go. You know, that nice lady, she didn't know if she was having internet problems or a browser problem. She just, she knew she couldn't get on church online. So, you know, we just had her go to shepnaz.ultralive.com and create an account. She was able to use her Facebook login, so that was simple. You know, you can do that. You can use your Google login, or you can use another email address if you want to. But, you know, that way people are able to get online. They're able to, you know, go to church together, and even if they're not able to be in person, it's great.
So remember, if you're having an emergency trying to create your UltraLive account, reach out because there is help. And do your part by signing up at shepnaz.ultralive.com today.
I don't know what to say other than you guys deserve a medal or a Grammy or an Oscar or a Tony or something for that creative piece of work. So yeah, so tell me everything. Tell me tell me all of it.
Yeah, so we were actually really lucky because we had about a 3-month runway prior to the launch for that prayer summit that we knew we were going to make this transition. So we had milestones in terms of evaluations and social media and everything like that to get the word out. And we did a number of just like promos in our announcements and stuff like that. And we identified, I think, kind of early on that sign up was going to be the speed bump for most everybody. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not sure who hatched the idea, but that, you know, we decided to make that promo video, and Joe just jumped on it and ran with it. And
so
he can
good.
give you all the funny.
We had fun for sure. I would. It wasn't my first attempt at something like this, so you know it felt natural.
Okay. There's a history there that I would love to hear, but okay, let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we just felt like instead of trying to make it, you know, a chore for people that they were going to have to change over the way they do things, to try to make it more lighthearted and give them something to chat about. And it did. It created.
It worked.
It did what we wanted to do. You know, people talked about it. They thought it was funny, but ultimately they knew change was coming, and they wanted to be part of it. So. It worked out well that way. Now, for anybody that might look at it and maybe you're at a small church and you're like, well, that's great if you got a bunch of volunteers and all that equipment and stuff. There was zero budget for that. There was not a dime spent. So that was just a matter of, now we did have the benefit, you know, we had some DSLR cameras that we use, so you know you could just use a regular digital camera or your phone,
your iPhone,
and record that stuff and then piece it together. So nothing that somebody else couldn't do.
What was the sorry, Maeve, go ahead.
Well, I was just curious, is like this the first time you've done a promo video so creatively like this, or had you had the opportunity, like was your congregation used to the kind of the antics that this brought?
Used to it.
I'd say we probably produce a couple of pieces of content every year.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, I remember we did during the pandemic. we did a series and we produced a music video for that one that was used during the message. Now, that one was very serious. That was not us playing around, but it's one thing we try to do is create original content and try to integrate that where we can. So, and we're honestly not above making fools of ourselves.
No,
if it makes a point and hits home. So,
I love it. What was the overall reaction from the congregation?
Oh, they loved it.
Okay.
I mean, we were seeing reshares on social media, and
love it.
So that was the kind of stuff that we wanted to give them something that they would feel comfortable sharing with a friend, and for more than one reason. So I think it worked out well.
We are still waiting on our call back from the Academy, though.
Right.
Hey, it's not award season. Award season just ended.
True.
So I don't know if you saw somebody got slapped on stage. So maybe we want to stay away from that for a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
We might use that in a video next year.
Oh, please send it our way.
Yeah, please at us. Or tag us. We would love to laugh at that in the office. Has there been any pushback from all the stuff you were doing, switching over to Altar? Have you guys felt any of that or even heard any of that?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, of our online community, there may be a couple little incidentals here and there where somebody said, hey, we're having trouble getting online, or we don't know exactly what to do. And, we've tried to encourage our pastoral staff and even some of our other small groups that, hey, let us know if somebody's having a problem, and we'll try to deal with it one-on-one to get them up and going. And I know of two particular examples where in both cases we were able to find a solution for them so that they could join. It might have been a hardware issue or just a user error, but nothing that was catastrophic.
Okay, cool. Nothing else from me, Maeve. How about you?
Yeah, I have one last question for you. I guess going forward, if you were ever to give advice to a church who's starting Altar, do you have any tips and tricks, just creative ways to get people excited? I know you have your video, which is awesome, but if people want to go a different route, what other ideas would you give them?
Well, I think one of the most important things, and I kind of see this issue in some other places. I think if a church is going to do this, to go online, I think it's mandatory these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think churches really have an opportunity or a choice anymore, right, to say no. So I think it's something that they need to do. But I do think that a church that does this needs to be willing to make the investment, because it is another ministry. A lot of churches have community ministries that they support, like a local food pantry or something like that, and the congregation in general will have no problem putting resources into those ministries. But if you say, well, let's start an online stream, it's like the first question is, well, how cheap can we do it?
Yep.
Well, don't be cheap about it. Produce something that's quality and put it out there, and then people will be happy to tune into it. I mean, the truth of the matter is, and this is part of the reason why, we do our services the way we do, with lighting and a big LED wall and stuff like that. People these days see stuff on TV, or they go to shows, concerts, and things like that, and they see this stuff in regular life. And if they come into the church and the church is, not even making an attempt to reach that level, the subconscious message is almost, we're not really relevant.
That's a good call.
And especially new people that come in to the church to check it out, the first 15 minutes in the building, they're going to make decisions about whether that church is relevant to them. And oftentimes it's not even based on what the message is. It's based on what the church looks like and how the people act and stuff like that. So the same thing happens now with church online. People that are searching for a congregation will check out a church online first. And we've had a number of people post-pandemic that started attending online first and then just show up and introduce themselves. And it's like, oh, yeah, you've been watching for 8 months.
It's
you know,
the weirdest
thanks for
thing,
showing
too.
up.
And they give you, I'm a digital pastor, and I've had the chance to work with hundreds of people and see them, you know, thousands almost, but having somebody walk into your physical building and go, hey, I'm Laura D. And it's like, oh my gosh, you're much smaller than I thought you were. Or, oh my gosh, you're a dude, or, you know, stuff like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. So my advice is just, you know, make the jump, make the investment. And I know not every church can do, you know, 5-6 cameras and a big control room and stuff like that. But at the same time, just setting and I don't want to be critical because some churches can only do this, but you know, if a church has a means and the only thing they do is set up a phone and stream it to Facebook, it comes across as you're not really trying.
Let's go.
Right. It leans into that idea. A lot of I see, like, a lot of churches we talk to kind of talk about how instead of it's like, okay, 2 ways to do church, it's one church, 2 expressions.
Yep.
And you have to give 100% to both expressions. So really good.
Yep.
And kind of piggybacking on what Jason was saying, I've mentioned this to people before, because sometimes you know people will just think that somehow the use of a lot of technology is somehow a little less spiritual or a little less, you know, genuine or real. And I just want to speak to that for a second. You know, if we go back in the church maybe 1,000 years, when you had common people that would walk into cathedrals and they would see stained glass and they would hear choirs and they would hear music that you couldn't experience anyplace else. The church was leading in the arts. And then somewhere along the way, we decided, I guess, that we didn't need to lead and we let the world take the lead for the arts. And so the move to involve the arts back into the church is not a step away from where we should be. It's a step back to what we should be.
Amen.
And so we should be leading and giving our absolute best. You know, God should have the best lights. He should have the best sound. He should have the best video. And when you can get a team that is centered around that to realize, you know, we're doing this for him. And it just, it makes a difference. I guess so. Beyond the quality issue, the other thing I would say is, you know, a big commitment, and not necessarily part that we have to do from the tech side, at least not in our church, but one of our pastors, Pastor Tim, and also Pastor Grant, are involved in the online presence during services,
that's great.
there and trying to engage. And we have a core of volunteers that they work with, and we found that, you know, there are some people that are worshiping online only, and once they become comfortable being online worshipers, they're also the key people that you would want to help engage other people that are worshiping online. And so we've been having that crew that is getting involved in the chat and reaching out to those people and being the mechanics of posting announcements during the service and all those things that have to happen. Somebody has to do them. And so we're able to incorporate more volunteers that way. But beside just the tech side of, you know, the production of the live stream, you also have to have hand in hand with the people that are going to be online engaging with the people, because you can put together, you know, the nicest live stream and then tell everybody online to start engaging. But if there's nobody there leading and showing them how to engage, it's not going to happen.
Absolutely. I love what you guys said about all of the tech, all of the quality. I hear a lot, and we're in a church that is trying to give our excellence. You know, I'm the digital pastor. We have a television studio and a broadcast studio, and we're of the Methodist denomination, technically, even though our name would never suggest that, but we are technically Methodist, and we had a number of Methodist pastors. We had an entire kind of district clergy meeting at our church yesterday, and we led worship, and we did this big kind of blowout thing, and it was fun. But I had a number of pastors coming up to me, and they were squarely split down the middle. 50% of them were, you guys are doing great. Thank you. You know, smaller churches that are smaller, and I don't mean this in a bad thing, just, you know, they were very much, hey, so thankful for you guys for helping us and for doing this. So thankful that you've been able to step in, yada, yada, yada. And then we had the pastors that were coming into the studio where my office is and giving me that look of 1,000 deaths and saying things like, well, you know, you've got 2 Panasonic EVAs here that are $15,000 kitted out with your glass. You could have spent that $30,000 on a mission trip. What are you doing? And it's like, oh my God, like, guys, you don't understand. We're reaching people in the Philippines right now. We have seen people get saved in Kenya and Germany and all across the United States, let alone the 15 people that are you're serving in your church. Like, we need to get over the idea that this technology is evil and technology is a sin. Maeve knows that I get up on my soapbox whenever we talk about this, but the idea that in the first century, when the Gospels were actually started, they were using the Roman technology of the time. They were using paper and books and the roads that the Roman Empire had set out. So what is to stop us, believers of the 21st century, from using the things that the empires around us have set up, like technology, like cameras, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll get off my soapbox now. You guys are doing great. We're so proud of you. We're so thrilled that you are part of the Altar Live family. Thank you guys for being servant-hearted and honestly for just serving the kingdom the way you are.
Yeah, I'll just add to piggyback on what you said real quick, Andy. This is our online stream is our ends of the earth ministry.
Amen.
You know, believers are called to share the gospel in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth.
Yep.
And the only way to have a global outreach is to use something that gives you a global outreach. And online ministry is that force multiplier that eliminates geography and allows us to spread the message to all the ends of the earth.
Yep.
So
I help out
colonies on the moon. We'll beam it up there too,
and then Mars pretty soon because Elon's going to take it. He's going to own Twitter, and then we're going to Mars, baby. Guys, thanks so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate you, Jason and Joe from Shepherd. All their information, all their social information, all of this amazing video, and everything is going to be located in the description below. Guys, thanks so much for giving up 45 minutes of your time here. We're so thrilled.
Sure. Thanks for having us. We had a great time.
Absolutely. For Maeve, well, first of all, Maeve, have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. You too.
You're very welcome. And
all of you have a wonderful afternoon.
Absolutely. And for the rest of the Altar Live crew, we love you. Thanks so much for being part of the family. We'll talk to you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.